Welcome to Uncanny X-Minutes, where we bring you the comics behind the movies. I'm Producer James.
And I'm Stasia.
And this week we're watching The Wolverine, minutes 100 to 110.
Would you like to know what happens?
Yes, I would.
Silver Samurai fights Wolverine and starts to steal his healing factor. And Viper and Yukio are having a separate fight, but, also during the same
ladies
time.
gotta fight.
Yeah,
It's a movie.
Yeah, it's like how like professional wrestling, like they don't ever have co-ed fights. Like
I think we brought this up in X-Men and X-Men 3, and like anytime it's the ladies have to fight. The men aren't allowed to fight the ladies, and the ladies aren't allowed to fight the men.
Which I think it makes for a worse TV show, movie, whatever. But anyway, we're kind of not really here to. Well, we are here to talk about fights.
We are here to talk about fights. I mean. And swords again, because like Silver Samurai's got a big old. He's like a mech suit.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine. That's not my Silver Samurai.
But whatever.
Whatever. We already talked about him last week, but we will talk about a sword though, because he's not allowed to play in this storyline we're about to talk about, and that storyline is X of Swords, aka 10 of Swords. Actually, I should have reversed it, but I don't want to. Because I like saying X of Swords.
I also say X of Swords, so I understand it's supposed to be 10 and it's part of the joke, which is also like the joke of our podcast. Right. So I kind of
But if I'm talking to a person on the street and I'm like, hey, did you read 10 of Swords? They'll be like, what? If I said X of Swords, even though it's incorrect, you'll know what I'm talking about.
That's true.
Anyway, so this happens during Krakoa. It is like the first crossover event. So it's still kind of early. Really early in the Krakoa days. There's a lot going on here. So before we get into what X of Swords actually is, there's a few like locations and people and teams that need to be talked about.
Oh, God.
Before we go into that.
A lot of them.
I guess the first I'll talk about is Krakoa used to be into like one big piece and got split into two.
Yeah. When
it was one big piece, it was called Okara. Thousands of years ago, it got invaded by the demons of Amenth, led by Annihilation, is the character's name. And we're talking Apocalypse and his wife Genesis, which I think this is her first appearance, right?
I think so. I'm going to check.
Check for me. And his children, the first horsemen. So his biological children are his first horsemen. They were overcome by these demons. And so what they did is they split the island in two. And Krakoa stayed in Earth and Arakko stayed in Amenth. Okay. So It went to another dimension. Now we have two halves of an island that want to become one again. And we have talked about Mars being Arakko.
Yep.
This is where that comes from. This is where that starts. We're not even there. That isn't even part of this. But it starts from here. We have all that going on. We also have Otherworld.
Yeah.
Which isn't new.
No.
This comes from Excalibur.
Yes. And Captain Britain.
Right.
Yeah.
Which we've dabbled in.
Very slightly, yes.
But it's a little more in this.
Yeah. Do you want me to give a little explanation about the Otherworld and the places within Otherworld?
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Otherworld?
Okay. So it's set in Excalibur, which I think is very important to remember. Like the Excalibur run has a lot to do with Otherworld. Like Captain Britain in particular has a lot to do with Otherworld. And Otherworld is the home dimension of the Captain Britain Corps. So there's actually more than one Captain Britain. And is where Merlin from X-Men.
Merlin with a Y?
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, lives. And it is kind of tied a lot to like Celtic mythology, like the British Isles, like the King Arthur stories, like that kind of stuff. There's a lot of like the themes and stuff are in Otherworld, just like the Nordic stuff kind of lives with Thor and their homeworld. Otherworld is kind of like that. There are fair kingdoms and fell kingdoms in Otherworld.
Okay.
Of which there are long lists, and I will not read all of them.
No, we would be here all day with all the lists I could have today.
Right. But I will say the important one to be aware of is Avalon, which is a fair kingdom, which is frequently like the seat of power for like sometimes good guys, sometimes taken by bad guys, but notably during this era that we're talking about in X of Swords, Jamie Braddock. Now, that was a lot of things and a lot of names that you probably have never heard before.
Right?
Would you like to explain who Jamie Braddock is?
Okay, so actually the Braddocks.
Yes.
There's at least 3 of them, or is there more? I think there's just
3.
the 3 in the 616. Yeah. So you've got Brian Braddock and Betsy Braddock, which are twins, and they are Captain Britain and Psylocke, who then took the body of Quanon, who is still Psylocke, and now there's 2 Psylocks.
Correct.
But then they have a brother named Jamie, who is also like a Mad King and a reality manipulator.
He's like an Omega level mutant.
Yeah, and a little mad.
Yes, definitely.
So those are your...
I will say that at this time period, right, Betsy Braddock is Captain Britain.
She is. They both kind of wear Captain Britain garb, but she, I think, is Captain Britain at this point.
So she's not wearing the Psylocke stuff. But I will say, if you think you remember Psylocke in the 90s, you're actually probably thinking of Betsy Braddock in that body.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's got purple hair.
Yes.
And Quanon has black hair.
That's how you stylized now, yeah.
Right. That's how you differentiate the 2 of them, because now they are 2 separate bodies.
Yeah.
Brian is not a mutant.
Yes.
That is the one thing about those 3 siblings.
He is granted the power of Captain Britain through his sword. Hence Excalibur. And all the things that happen.
Didn't he choose the amulet?
He did choose the amulet.
There was
Sorry, not the sword, but he has a sword.
So how he got his powers is he was given the choice between the Sword of Right and the Amulet of Might. Yeah. Is that what it was? Or Sword of Might? I think it's the Sword of Might and the Amulet of Right.
And he's a pure of heart and he chose the amulet.
Right. Because the sword does come up in this story.
It does.
But that's not, like, basically to be Captain Britain, you have to not choose the offensive weapon.
Right.
Interesting. Anyway, Otherworld is mostly important in X of Swords and the Krakoan Age because it messes with the resurrection protocols. We find out in this storyline, a bunch of mutants went into Otherworld and Rockslide gets killed proper in Otherworld. And when they bring his body back, they go, all right, we're going to resurrect him. And when they go to resurrect him, it shorts everything out. All of the cradles go crazy for a second. And what happens is, because Otherworld is sort of the nexus of all realities, that it sort of re-rolled Santo. Like, it re-rolled Rockslide, so it's not Rockslide, but it's not our Rockslide.
Yeah.
So when he comes back, they call him Wrong Slide.
Yeah.
After this. So from now on, he is not who he was.
He seems to be a completely different person.
He looks different. Like he used to look more like a rockier thing, like a gray rock thing who can get smashed to pieces and he will reform as opposed to Thing, who is a body underneath the rock. But this is not that's not the same. He's a little more slender now.
Yeah.
He's got like a weird look. So it is a true, like, it is the first time this has happened, and now it has become, okay, for the rest of X of Swords, don't die in Otherworld, because they will not resurrect you now.
Yeah, it's too dangerous.
That is the protocol. So we haven't even gotten into the storyline. That's all the backstory.
No, it's like I will have a huge caveat, which you probably should have started before we started talking. X of Swords is complicated. I'm going to say we've read this multiple times, and I'm not convinced that I know all of the little bits and bobs of X of Swords and all the motivations and all of the whatever. So as we say frequently, take this with a grain of salt as our interpretations of how we read these books.
I will even say, doing research, when you find the different articles of people just writing about it, they sort of leave some stuff out. Definitely. And I think they do it on purpose because it's a little vague of what's going on. Basically, Arakko and Krakoa, they want to come back together, the two landforms. And Arakko is been warring with these demons for centuries. So they are basically mutants who are a warring people and have known nothing but.
Yeah.
That means they're just going to invade Earth and be like, we're just going to take it for ourselves, is like sort of the mentality that the X-Men have as to what is happening. So there is the regent of the Starlight Citadel, who is Saturnine.
Opal Luna Saturnine. And she is very magic-full. Yes.
And she has determined there'll be a tournament. Instead of an all-out war, there'll be a tournament. Each side will have 10 sword bearers, and they will have to get their swords in 3 days to start the tournament. Otherwise, they forfeit. So a chunk of it, like maybe a third of the book of the storylines, is finding swords to fight. Silver Samurai, not one of them. And he is not happy about it.
Yeah, it was. I totally get why he was mad.
It's like, come on, man. Polaris has basically this like rhyming scheme of like, it's a cryptic poem of all of the different sword bearers and their swords. Some are obvious, like talking about a soul sword is going to be magic.
Yeah,
that's obvious.
Not magic like the concept, the person.
Magic with a K.
Yeah.
Ilyana.
Yeah, Rasputin. Yes.
So the rest are a little more cryptic. The ones that we really do follow, it's funny because Ilyana's like, well, that's obviously me, and that's the first one. After they hear the poem, she's like, done. Pulls out the sword. We're here. Wolverine, his is like a soul lost and an edge gained, which if you listen to our Muramasa episode, makes a lot of sense. This is him going to hell to get the Muramasa blade.
Yeah, we've referenced
so
him doing this before.
talked about this before. That is part of this storyline. Doug ends up being one of them. And because there's something about self-friend.
Yes.
Which is how Warlock speaks.
Yeah, and Doug Ramsey. Yeah.
So Doug and Warlock is his blade.
Yeah.
One of the more interesting ones is Storm has to get a Wakandan blade that is like one of their pillars of society, essentially.
A thing they will probably not let her borrow, considering that
will not let her borrow.
One, because that's just kind of how they are in general, and two, especially because she's no longer the Queen of Wakanda, and she's gone through a messy divorce.
Yeah, I mean they do greet her cordially enough.
Yes, definitely.
But they are like, T'Challa's not here,
so
and you got to ask him. And she's like, I don't have that kind of time. And basically that's the argument. They have page after page. It's like, no, just wait for T'Challa. And she's like, you don't understand. This is everybody. This is the entire world, not just Wakanda.
Just a sidebar. There's a lot of things that I think Extra Swords is like bringing into storylines, which is like why it's so hard to parse, because it's like making so many references to deeper things.
Yeah.
But the primary reason, in my opinion, that T'Challa and Storm divorced and broke up is because he could not accept that she had a responsibility to mutants above a lot of things. And once again,
that is exactly what's happening.
The issue of what's happening here. And I think it's a fun little tidbit, even though it's like not a huge part of the story.
But you get a fun little heist. Yes. Like a Storm heist. Like you kind of forget Storm's the thief.
Yeah. And she's like, I actually do not need to wait.
Nah, I got powers and I'm gonna get it. And she does.
I told you I'm the one who took it, so you know who to get it back from. I mean, she's really borrowing it.
I do love it though, because T'Challa shows up as she's leaving.
Yeah.
And he lets her go, but it is funny to be like, if you would have said he would have been here in a couple hours, would have been fine. But you guys said like days.
Yeah.
Like you made it seem like you didn't know when he was coming back.
Yeah.
But he basically lets her take it, but like begrudgingly. And it's like, I'm not happy about this, but I'm not going to stop you because I know I can't.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of others. I'm not going to go into all of them, but they end up doing a full, like they meet together for the tournament, but it's like they have dinner before. It's like the warriors are allowed to mingle. We start learning all the different Iraqi mutant soldiers that they have on their side, and they're very interesting. And then the battles begin. But I'm sure you were the same way reading this. I was like, oh, we're going to get a one-on-one. It's going to be like kind of the AVX storyline where you're like, here's this person versus that person. Fight.
That's what I thought you were getting into. And I think they were kind of playing with expectations.
Yeah.
Because,
for sure.
They were like, oh, yeah, it's totally going to be a fight.
This is like Mortal Kombat, the movie.
Yes.
They all get together, they eat food, and then they have a series of battles that end in whatever. That's not what this is.
It's not. And I do think that that's why making Opal Luna the kind of like presider over all of the things, Saturnine, to be the presider of this is perfect because she is tricky. She's a tricky character. She's similar to Loki in that way. She's very self-serving, self-interested, and not necessarily goofy, but she
whimsical?
Whimsical is a great word. Yes.
Yeah.
Whimsical.
I didn't know much about her going into here because I didn't read a ton of Excalibur.
Okay. We've actually kind of talked about her.
Yeah.
Well, we
brushed
talked about
up against her.
We talked about a version of her because Courtney Ross is the 616 version of her, I think.
Okay.
So she was like the girlfriend of Brian Braddock, but different versions of her exist, of course, across the universes. And one is the omniversal magistrix of the Starlight Citadel.
Sure. As it happens. My only gripe with, I don't know if it's just more of the design of everything. Sometimes I mistake her for Emma Frost while reading the story, and Emma Frost just isn't even there.
No. She's a tall, leggy blonde that wears white. I get it.
And that's the problem. She's wearing stuff that Emma would wear.
She does.
Just saying.
She does.
So anyway.
Very similar personalities in some ways.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
there's
it's
a lot of overlap.
If you're not really, like tracking where everyone is, you're like, oh my goodness, Wolverine just stabbed Emma, and it's like, no, he stabbed Saturnine, but didn't really.
Yeah, she got better. It's fine.
It didn't actually happen. So the events are weird. Yeah. So it starts off with like some like an actual sword fight, but then you get like, oh, it's Doug's turn, and he's like, wait, can I practice? I'm not ready. So they whisk, it's him versus this really tall Iraqi named Bay Blood Moon. Mm-hmm. Bay the Blood Moon. There's a "the" in there. They both get rushed off into separate like quarters. And when he's in there, Magic's in there too. And she's just like, hey man, I saw you panic, so I thought I'd follow you. And you seemed all right because he's got like all these like handmaidens dressing him. Like in these garbs and putting like a flower wreath on his head.
He just looks so soft, which makes sense because he is kind of he's like the man behind the chair. He does not do real battle.
And he meets her during the dinner, and it's interesting because her dialect is like when you do the voice bubbles, it's got the little like almost like brackets around it to show it's a foreign language. Mm-hmm. Like usually you do that and you say like translated from Russian.
Yeah.
They don't do that. They just do that. And Cypher, the guy who can understand all languages, cannot understand her. Fascinating. And he is intrigued.
Yes.
So when they garb him up and they bring him into the room, it's a chapel. The contest was a wedding.
Yes.
And they both say I do.
I need to, I feel, okay, so this might seem real weird, right?
It is real weird.
It is. I would say, though, that, like, we kind of didn't mention this when I mentioned Opal Luna Saturnine, but, like, she kind of has...
This is the whimsy.
Yeah, she has whimsy, but she also has predictive powers. Like, she's not exactly... She is like a fortune teller.
Yes.
So less destiny and more kind of like magician reading like the tea
tarot
leaves.
card reader,
yes, tarot card reading, whatever. So when you read this in the comic, you're like, oh, that's super weird. But... you also kind of realize that she knew things about both of these people. These are part of the decisions. Like what people are assigned to do is part of her plan, her setup, whatever, which I think is important. It's not like she like just drew something out of a hat. Like she did this on purpose.
Yeah, all the things they do are very on purpose. I agree.
Yeah.
But I love that both give vows.
Yes.
And Doug goes, how did her sound? And so I forget, somebody just goes, no, they sounded good. You're fine. Yeah. And so they actually are married, and they still are.
They're great. I love them.
Like that. This is something that I thought would be a throwaway thing.
Yeah.
That they did not forget.
I love that.
And I love it. And they are a loving couple. That is the other thing.
Yes.
Like, I kind of love that he is, like you said, soft. He's a smaller, just like average build guy. And she is like
jacked.
She's an Amazon.
Yeah.
It's great. And I love it. And the first time he sees her, like they lift up her veil and he's like, you're beautiful. Like,
yes.
I love it. It's so good. Anyway.
It's very charming. They're very sweet. I just like love them together so much.
Right.
Like, for such a character, it just introduced and married off to truly one of the most beloved characters.
Yeah.
That could have gone so badly.
It could have went so bad.
That was very risky. And I think it's a testament to like how they played this part. Like, I don't love X of Swords spoilers, like, in totality.
Sure.
But some of these parts, especially this, land perfectly.
That's one of the few things that I left with and was like, yes, I'm glad you did this.
Yeah.
There is a straight up sword battle with Betsy Braddock, who gets shattered like stained glass.
Yeah.
She gets shattered in 1,000 pieces, which makes sense later. But for now, she seems dead.
Yeah.
But like not in a rock slide way.
Yeah.
So, but as all these are going on, they are like racking up the points. Like Arakko versus Krakoa, and Arakko is ahead by a lot.
Yeah.
And one of them is even a spelling bee, where they ask Magic to spell the word magic, and she does it with a K, but it needs to be a C.
It's so funny.
So she gets it wrong.
Yeah. Like,
it's like a person pulls a rabbit out of a hat, and what do you call that? And she's like, easy, MAGIK. And they're like, wrong. She's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Love it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Just fun throwaways. Because they're in Avalon.
Throwaways.
They're in,
right.
well, they're in
they're in Otherworld.
Like, they're just having a good time.
Yes, exactly. One of the final battles, though, is Gorgon, who we don't talk about too much. He's a swordsman by trade anyway, but his mutant ability is turning people to stone with his gaze. So he often wears a mask, so he doesn't do that. He goes up against an Iraqi who has like 100 strong. I don't know if it's actually 100, but he has like a bunch of minions, and he defeats a bunch of them, and it actually racks the score up for Krakoa so that they're tied.
Yeah.
Okay. This then ends with Apocalypse and Genesis facing off against each other. And this is where it breaks. Like, the whole thing turns into a war.
Yeah.
And it's not because of the X of Swords storyline. It is Genesis is wearing the Mask of Annihilation. They are summoning demons. It then becomes like this big all-out war, and it's where it also gets kind of confusing.
Yeah. Once you bring Apocalypse into the storyline, which in all fairness, there's preludes to this that does a lot of
He's
Apocalypse
been injured
stuff.
for most of it.
Yeah, but like you get like the fun hijinks that Saturn 9 is doing.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like bookended with like a bunch of like space alien apocalypse, like both
demons
and prehistoric past, but also aliens at the same time, where you just kind of
demons
like, okay. And then Annihilation is like in a mass, so it takes over. It's just a lot.
So basically what ends up happening is Apocalypse gets the mask off of Genesis and is able to, because like Annihilation is an influence upon the person who wears it. And he's able to overcome that and basically submit to Saturnine is how the whole thing ends.
Yeah.
So they stave off the invasion of demons. Arakko then is able to come to Earth and reunite with Krakoa.
Yes.
All of those Iraqi mutants are now on Earth. And that is storylines for like, if you read anything past X of Swords, you're going to run into them.
Absolutely. You're going to run into the Iraqis. Yeah. And you're going to run into a bunch of people who, X-Men Red, which is like one of my favorite spin-offs from Krakoa, all happens on Arakko.
Yeah.
So
Arakko is an island next to Krakoa.
Yeah.
And later will become Mars.
Yeah.
So they all move to Mars because they're all so warring. They're like, you can't stay here.
Yeah. It is like quite interesting. Like the storylines build up and it's weird because it almost is a Wolverine storyline that he isn't really in. And because it's like the Iraqi people like have like a very specific culture, and like we might struggle with it with the warring nature of it, but to them it makes sense. And there's a lot, X-Men Red is a lot about like where's the balance between like these kind of two people's meaning, like what is imperialism, what is like setting things right, like where's the line. So much of it. It's actually quite good, but
you don't get that unless you get through X of Swords.
you
though.
have to get through X. Well,
Or you just
have
need to know
that
you
that's
need to know
what's
what
happening.
happened. The last big thing that happens at the end, though, is Saturnine, while the invasion's going on, pulls out a box essentially of all of the pieces of Betsy Braddock
Yeah.
and puts them back together. But when she does, so before this, which I didn't kind of know, I think they mentioned it, that the Captain Britain Corps was no longer.
Yeah.
That they had died. This reignites it.
Mm-hmm.
So a bunch of Captain Britons from across the multiverse come into this battle as well. So they come in, the X-Men come in, the Iraqis are fighting, the Amenth demons are fighting. It's a big mess. It's a big splashy fight mess until Apocalypse stops it. But it all comes down to the Iraqi are now on Earth. And and Apocalypse, as part of the deal, has to stay behind with Genesis.
Yeah.
So he is with his family again, except for Death's dead.
Right.
Death died during the battle. They were barely around.
You don't care. I will say, you may have questions, dear listeners, of like, wait a minute, you just said that the name of this thing was called X or 10 of Swords, and they had to go get all these swords, but you didn't name a single sword fight. And
there's a few sword fights.
I will say there were a couple, but you're right. There's not enough.
No.
Not if you got 10 swords. Is there any real reason for these swords? Not really.
Betsy Braddock lost in a sword fight. Magic didn't even get to sword fight.
No, she was spelling.
She also had an arm wrestling contest, which she lost, and then a hand-to-hand combat with the same character.
The swords don't really matter, which is why this whole thing is kind of weird.
There is one sword that does matter, but not in a sword fight way, which is what we're talking about. Like there's not as much sword play as you would think. Wolverine gets a bit too. He has to go up against Solemn and other people and whatever.
But those are kind of breaks in between the hijinks,
well,
and it's mostly
thing,
a
right?
hijink book.
It's
kind of
the sword fights aren't the interesting bits.
No,
it's the hijinks. It's the wedding. It's the spelling bee. It's the dance off. There's a dance. There's dancing. And it's storm dancing, so you know it was good.
It's hard for me to recommend it, but I also feel like there are some core tomfoolery going on that you need to be aware of.
Well, and if you're reading the Krakoan books, it hijacks all of them.
It really does.
And but it does it at least in a way of numbering them.
Yes.
Like if you do run into it, it's like I was reading X-Force and now I'm in X of Swords number 6. Like you can at least find the beginning of it, as opposed to some we've talked about where you're like, oh, this like most big events that go on in the Marvel universe is like the big event goes on and then all the books are affected by it, but they're not integral to it.
Yeah.
These are all integral. This is all the same story. Yeah. Like this happens more often in X-Men than it does in any other book.
That's true.
I don't know if I'd read it. I think you're right.
It's really hard to recommend.
I would read Cypher's Wedding.
Yeah.
Because it's adorable.
It is.
And I was real excited to reread that part.
I honestly don't even think it matters that Wolverine went to hell. You don't need it.
No. I mean, Muramas is there, but he's dead now.
But you don't,
he got killed by his own blades.
Really help. It just, it's definitely, in all fairness, I wrote a reading guide for Brian.
Yeah.
To get him caught up on Krakoa. And I mostly left out X of Swords.
Oh, there is. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is one side plot that's going on that almost seems random and is still kind of random, and that's the Hellions.
Oh.
So Mr. Sinister is like, I've got an idea. During the we need to get our swords phase of this story, he's like, what if? Okay, what if we send in some Hellions to steal one of the swords before they find it, making the tournament null and void? And they were like, I don't know. So the Quiet Council votes on it, has a majority. And they're like, all right, we can do it. And then one of the guys goes, I think it was, it doesn't matter. One of the guys goes, and you should lead it. And he's like, whoa, what? And they're like, yeah. And so they voted. They're like, all right, you got to go. So he doesn't go. One of his clones goes.
Oh, of course. This is Sinister.
Right?
Yeah.
So Sinister takes a bunch of the Hellions in. They get wrecked.
Yeah.
None of them die in Otherworld. They are close to dying. They all get to the other end of the portal. They get into Krakoa. And then real Sinister kills them all, including his own clone. And it was all a ruse for Sinister to get Iraqi mutant genes, which have nothing to do with X of Swords.
Right.
So the reason it's in there is real weird.
But it is, you're right, that is absolutely necessary.
But he goes through Jamie and like an Avalon as the king. So you do get some fun like messing around with that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Empath is back and it's shenanigans, but it doesn't really affect, like you would think it would have affected the X of Swords storyline, and it does not. It was a ruse. The whole thing was a ruse.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, it was a bloodbath. You know, we'll just have to resurrect them all. Whoopsie doodle.
Yeah.
And it's going to be backups before they left. So
Before they left.
Nobody knows what happens but Sinister.
The Sinister storyline of Krakoa is the best. It's very good.
Oh, he's so good on Krakoa.
He's
You should not
so
trust him, but he's so endearing. Like I just want to keep reading him.
So charming.
So yeah, I think that's all I've got for that.
Yeah, I mean,
So some big things come out of it is the
Yes.
problem.
Yes.
So as long as you know the big things,
Yeah.
you don't have to read it.
Unfortunately for Wolverine, the movie that we're watching, he's not super relevant, except for the fact that we talked about the Marmos stuff.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
He goes and he tries a bunch of stuff, but he's not really the point.
Him and Storm both got drunk on some sort of alcohol that stripped both their powers, and then they got thrown into battle.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun.
Yeah, but that's about it.
I've run out of Wolverine stuff to talk about that was relevant to the movie.
Well, we got to talk about him with another sword, and Silver Samurai was in this storyline
That's true.
very briefly.
That's
he
true.
just doesn't get to go,
And
which
he's
should
not
tell
happy
you
about it.
a lot about how they very rarely use Silver Samurai.
I know, right?
Yeah.
What a perfect time to use him.
I know, and they literally made it a joke because they remembered him, and then they're just like, we're not bringing him.
Bro, you're here, but...
The disrespect.
No thanks.
Right.
All right, I think that'll just about wrap it up. I'm Producer James,
I'm Sasha.
and we'll see you for the next 10.